CDBG-CV grant. And so the very first step in applying as a city for those funds, which can then go on to our local businesses, is a resolution authorizing us to make that application. And so I'm asking to add that resolution as last item 13. And then we also earlier today, this is not a change from what's in your packet, but we did change item 10 to include, we're going to table it. So we're not really changing the item, but we will be asking for you to make a tabling motion on that one instead of taking action.
Jenny, when we make the motion to accept the agenda, would you like us to table it as part of that motion, or do you want to go ahead and bring up item 10 and then table it then?
Andrew, I believe we need to actually acknowledge that we received these bids because we said we were going to receive them on the 12th. Is that correct?
That's right. It would be best to go ahead and take up the item as normal. But of course, as Jenny mentioned, the recommendation from staff has changed. We can discuss those details when the item comes up.
Thank you. Then Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to accept the agenda with the modifications as presented.
Mike, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Pardon me. Tonight we have two proclamations, one for Police Memorial Week and one for National Public Works Week. Police Memorial Week is this week and Public Works Week is next week. I will read both proclamations now to the best of my ability. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week, and whereas the members of the Andover Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city of Andover, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifice of the police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of Andover Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service, therefore, as mayor of the city of Andover, I call upon all citizens of the city of Andover and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe this week of Sunday, May 10th through Saturday, May 16th, 2020, as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, I render a dedicated service to their community, and in so doing have established for themselves an inevitable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. And I further call upon all citizens of the city of Andover to observe Friday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courage and deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have been disabled in the performance of duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes and hereby proclaim May 14th, 2020 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and May 10 through 16 as National Police Week. Okay. 6.2, whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Andover, Kansas. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public works professionals, who are the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government, and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Andover, Kansas to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works program in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association be it now. Therefore, I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canada Public Works Association, and the government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health and safety and the quality of life, and hereby proclaim May 17th to May 23rd, 2020 as Public Works Week. Do any council members have comments they'd like to make?
Ronnie, I didn't quite catch that second proclamation. Could you read that again, please? Just kidding.
I'll email it to you.
All right. Very good.
But both those are sincerely near and dear to my heart, being I was one of those folks that worked in public works, and it's kind of like people don't realize that they're there, and they don't get a lot of acknowledgement or credit, but they do get a lot of grief when things aren't quite right, when their ditches aren't clean and their streets aren't done, and they're doing the best they can, and they go virtually unnoticed. And they have the same value the public works is all the way up to us, and sometimes they don't get the attention they deserve, in my opinion. Not attention, but accolades, I should say. Anyone else? All right. 7, presentation, 7.1, municipal golf course PDF. I'd like to now invite Randy Hunt or Dick Stunts to present the first quarter 2020 report on the municipal golf course to the City Council.
Hello. How's everyone?
Hey, Randy.
Greetings. Dick, are you there? I can see your telephone at the bottom of the screen, but perhaps you're not off of mute. So
there. I think I'm live now. Randy, why don't you just go ahead? Thank you.
In your packet, you have received the written report from the first quarter. Obviously, the first quarter was the month of March. However, I'm hearing something in the background. Is that me?
No, it's not you, Randy.
Okay. Anyway, as the report says, a very exciting month for us that actually concluded with the onset of actually about halfway through was the coronavirus, but the reception by the public has been outstanding. There's a lot of people that were very, very, very excited to see the golf course remain open. And as the report states, wasn't anything or any big snafus as it related to getting us open. We got us up and going. And now as we warp speed ahead about an extra 45 days or 50, 60 days, things are turning green. A few things that were in our favor for sure. The weather was favorable, as we all know, in the month of March. It doesn't always turn out this way. So running a golf course is like farming. Oftentimes we're at the mercy of Mother Nature, and she treated us well this year. So You should have the full report in front of you, and if I'm happy to entertain any questions that the council may have.
Randy, do you, if I'm reading this right, is there 34 annual pass members?
That is correct. That were purchased in the month of March. That is correct.
Okay. Has that increased since then? It's not on here, but I'm just curious.
It has. The biggest, I mean, like I say, there was a lot of enthusiasm early. The very first day, I don't have the exact number, but it was close to double digits on the very first day that we opened. Since that time, it has slowed down. I think we sold an additional 5 or 6 in the month of April, and I believe we've sold one more in May so far.
Are most of those members, are they Green Valley members, or?
You know, I haven't done the any analysis of specific location to membership. No, I can tell you that roughly 2/3 of those are by seniors, and then the next 20% probably by singles, and then we pick up a few, you know, add-ons as well.
Moving forward, Randy, what type of marketing do you plan on doing?
Well, one of the things that we've been unable to get up so far is our website. So I don't want to make any excuses about not being able to be present. I was there pretty much the month of March. Since that time, with the virus that hit, things have kept me away from the property, and I've been unable to get some of the things done that I wanted to. So certainly a website getting up, and then the programming that we wanted to get going, i.e. leagues, lessons, and some things like that. We've had some restrictions, obviously, because of the virus. So that type of marketing will be, you know, at the forefront as the restrictions on the virus start to loosen up some.
Will you be doing any marketing with the, and Lance, you may want to correct me, about the 80 people who live around the golf course? Is there any chance that all of those people could join as well?
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. You know, our intent is to have meetings face to face with the Homes Association leaderships, and I understand there are several homes associations around the golf course. So again, once we can get front and center and meeting with those people and getting things going, absolutely, everybody is welcome. Everybody is. We want everybody to feel welcome, and we want everybody to attend. And so it's not restricted to specifically those around it, but we'll make every effort to be a good neighbor to work with those homeowners as well.
Yeah, when the golf course was shutting down, I think that's when we heard of most of the people around Green Valley who lived on the golf course, and I think they all said that they all would become a member once a new golf course manager would come in. And I believe, and Lance, you can correct me again, was it 31 members that they had before when it was being shut down?
Yeah, there was roughly 31 members, I think, total, and I think we had 7 from the Green Valley resident from the neighborhood, the adjoining neighborhood.
Yeah, so if there's anyone from Green Valley out there watching this, I would encourage you to support the golf course. And sounds like they're on a really good momentum right now. So would love to see those people who who wanted the golf course there become a member.
Hey, Randy, I will tell you that prior to COVID-19, I'd eat at Spalding's every Tuesday, and that was kind of the big talk, is the golf course. I had my first lunch after they opened everything up today at Spalding's, and all the guys there, we were talking, and they are very impressed with how you guys are doing the golf course. They're very happy that it's open. Every time I drive past it, it seems like the cars are basically, you know, all the way to the end of the parking lot. So people who are playing it are extremely happy, and it's the talk of the town right now, at least at Spalding's anyway.
That's great to hear. I hear, is it true that it's Taco Tuesdays at Spalding's? It seems like I heard that when I was in
It
the
is
neighborhood.
a buck for a taco, and they're actually delicious. So
Taco, I intended on participating in that, but didn't ever get the chance. I look forward to it in the future, and
well, there's an open invitation every Tuesday. Come on down.
we'll be there.
Hey, Randy, this is probably a good time. Can you just go over what your fees are, for just a round or maybe an annual pass?
Annual passes are, for a senior are $350. And all of these fees, by the way, include sales tax. The single is $450. To add one person, if you buy a single and then add a second person in the family, would be $200 more. And then for each individual beyond 3 through wherever is $50 a person.
Wow.
Daily fees run $9 for 9 holes, $11 for 18 holes for seniors, and add $2 to that. And this is during the week for non-seniors, and then add $2 more to each of those for weekend prices. Golf carts rent for nine holes at $10, and it's $13 for 18 holes. If a person does own their own cart and they want to bring it on a trailer or the back of their truck and bring it out there, there's a $7 fee for them to run. We call it a trail fee, and that's the price for the trail fee. And again, all of these prices include sales tax.
Do you show these on a Facebook page or a website?
Again, the website is not up yet, and the Facebook is not up yet, but as soon as they are, they will be shown there.
Okay.
And Randy, if you want to send me that in an email, then we can put that out on the city Facebook and website, and we can also put that on our recreation Facebook page as well.
Be happy to do that. Thank you, Jennifer.
This
Sorry.
is Dick. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? This is Dick Stuntz.
Yes.
Yes, Dick.
Yes. One other comment I'd make on marketing is that we did purchase a club profit point of sale system, which has lots of marketing features. It has online booking, so people can simply get on and book it. And also it will have a nice tie-in to the web page, etc. Once again, we have the system, it's in place. We're using it for check-in, but we have yet to activate and coordinate the marketing portion of it. But it will also really help us regarding booking of tee times.
Randy or Dick, in the future, will you be able to show demographics of where the passes are, where they are located?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. We as it relates to annual passes, yes, and it's my hope that if we can do it, obtain the information from even a walk-in golfer, that we'd like to be able to get email addresses and phone numbers so that we can market directly to those individuals as well. But we definitely have the membership or the annual pass information, and I will share that with Jennifer this week.
And then when you were talking about programs, does that include lessons?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'd like to get some lesson programming going. Again, we have yet to figure out the specifics on how we're going to do that with not having a driving range, but certainly it can be done. And that's high on the agenda as we work our way into summer.
And you don't have a driving range. Do you have a chipping green or a putting green, like a practice area?
Yes, there is a putting green there, and we do allow a little short, let's say, chip shots around the green, but we don't have any area, let's say, beyond about 10 yards that we're comfortable with.
Okay, thank you.
I get around the area quite a bit from Valley Center to around Wichita, and I've become quite popular, so to speak. And I've got people just about everywhere I go, and even like Tim was saying, I had some folks. A guy introduced me at the Spaldings, and there was 4 gentlemen from Benton, Kansas, that were just tickled that the golf course is open and had nothing but good to say about it. And people, like I say, around, which surprised me, Wichita and Valley Center, I had people from both those communities say they were glad that the golf course was open. In fact, one of them was coming out there last Saturday. And I've heard a lot of good things locally about the work you guys are doing. And I'm very impressed with it. And I appreciate it. And I just keep up the good work. You're doing a great job. And a lot of folks are very pleased with what they're seeing.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and this is Dick again, and I would also just like to add, we feel like partners with the city. I can't thank you enough for the reception we received from city staff and also the commission on getting us started and supporting us in everything we're doing. We're very, very pleased. Thank you very much. We feel like we've got a great partner.
We agree. So again, thank you, gentlemen, for all your hard work, and keep it up and stay in touch.
Will do.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
guys.
Okay, we're now to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I, Homer, move to approve consent agenda items 8.1 through 8.6 as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Troy, thank you, Troy. All in favor? Say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right. Andover Road Bicycle Pedestrian Path. Les Menges, Community Development Director, will present these items. KDOT supplemental agreement.
This agreement is an amendment to an earlier agreement that just finalizes the estimated cost of the project and reestablishes that relationship between the DOT and the city of Andover as to whose responsibilities are what. This is typically your 80-20 split between KDOT and the city on the construction and construction engineering. But on this project, if you read through that agreement, there are also some items that are called non-participating items. For instance, the relocation of utilities. We've got some water lines and water meters that need to be relocated, and those will be either City of Andover expenses or Wichita Water Department expenses that will be paid for locally, as well as the landscaping section of the project. The DOT doesn't pay for the trees that are to be planted as part of this project. But again, this is just the final amendment that trues up all of the costs as we go to the bid letting in July.
Council have any questions? Thank you, Les. Can I get a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I, Greg, approve the supplement agreement with the Kansas Department of Transportation for the Andover Road Bicycle Pedestrian Path US 54 to Central project.
Mike, second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. I just got myself lost.
Item 10, Mr. Mayor.
I can't find it, Henry.
We're on the Heritage First Edition of paving bids.
All right. Everybody calm down. Heritage First Edition paving project bids. Les, I understand the bids that came in this morning came in a little high. Can you tell us a little bit about the opening bids?
This particular set of projects is a combination of different funding sources. There are 3 different petitions, and a little bit of TIF money that goes into Shea Road. So we had 4 different engineers' estimates to comply with for the petitions. We were over on 3 of those engineers' estimates, but 2 of the 3 were within the crawl, that percentage that's allowed as time passes from the time the petition is approved to when the work is actually bid. So in order to proceed ahead and accept the bid, we'll have to modify those petitions and resolution of advisability and work ordinance at the next meeting in order to accept the low bid. So your action tonight would be just to simply table this until the next meeting when you have all those documents approved.
I had to ask because I'm naive and not educated on some of this stuff. Can you explain to us what the high bids mean to us as a city, as opposed to what the ramifications are if we was to take it, is what I'm trying to say, Les, or Jenny, either one.
Because these are petition projects where they're to be paid for by a special improvement district, there's a number in that petition that's a not to exceed for the construction. One of these exceeded that not to exceed number, including the percentage that can be added per month. So we couldn't accept this bid and assess all of the projects back to the special benefit district.
I think in essence, if we did, we would be accepting anything over what that petition is for. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes, it is. So at the one of the very first steps of these development type projects is that the developer submits these petitions with engineers' estimates of what each piece of the project is going to cost. And then we do an advisability resolution and work ordinance to kind of approve the project and move toward the financing and construction. In this case, we've done the financing piece, at least temporarily. And so as Les was correctly pointing out, the engineers' estimates apparently were low for whatever reason. So the bids that we have now, we need to sort of go back and amend that first step from a while back to be sure that when those costs come in and get spent, that all of those will be special assessed back to the landowners and not paid by the city. If we were to accept this bid, we would be limited to the amount that we could special assess back to the landowner to the original amounts in the original petitions. And so that's why we're recommending to table it. Let us increase those amounts, and that way the city doesn't have that risk or that amount to take care of. Happy to answer any other question about that.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I will add that 3 of the 4 bids that we received were within about 3.5% of each other. There was one outlier that was about 20% higher than the low bid. But when you get three bids within that tight of a spread, I'm confident that that's what the market is.
Mr. Mayor, I, Homer, move to table the consideration of the Heritage First Edition paving project bids until the May 26th, 2020 meeting of Andover City Council.
Mike, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. All right, motion carries 6-0. Andrew, thank you for explaining it to us. Les, thank you very much. I'll be asking a lot of questions on these things because I want to make sure that I know what I had to ask Jenny today 2 or 3 times and she had to explain it to me like a 6th grader. So that's what we need to know. We need to know what we're voting on and approving, and a lot of us are new. So anything you think we need to know above and beyond what is normal conversation for the council, please feel free to interject. All right. All right. 11. Prairie Point at Cornerstone second. Rick, would you please present these items?
So the first one you have is the paving portion of Prairie Point. These are much like the ones you just tabled. They are petition projects for subdivision work. In this particular case, the paving petition is well within the bit, or well, this was, let me back up. I think about March, you guys, the council authorized the developer to negotiate a contract. So this is not a bid project. This is a negotiated contract where the developer engaged into negotiations and is bringing us a proposal for your approval. The proposal is well within the petition amounts that was previously approved in previous petition. And really, I don't have much else to add to this one other than, you know, it is a little different because we didn't bid it, we negotiated it, but they did get previous council approval to do that. And then the following one is the same. They also negotiated water, stormwater, and sewer projects. If you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to try and answer.
So Rick, based on your view of this, is this within, I guess, does this look close?
It's well below the engineer's estimate. It was done prior to when they knew they were going to. They did the estimate before they went to the process of doing the negotiations.
Okay, so nothing looks way off or out of place.
No, I don't think so. And you know, and this is it's not really in the developer's interest to have a high because that makes their specials high. So it makes their resell or, you know, reselling of the specials, or if they own them and continue to own them and rent them out or something like that, then they have to pay that cost too. So it's in their interest to keep their costs low.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to accept the plans and accept a proposal from Pearson Construction LLC for the construction of paving and grading improvements within Prairie Point at Cornerstone Second with a not to exceed amount of $197,585.50 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement after the city attorney has reviewed required contract submittals.
Greg seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion carries 6-0. Negotiate agreement for construction of utilities, 11.2.
So this one negotiated much like the previous one. This one is for the water, sewer, and stormwater. Generally, there's one same contractor does all that work. It's all utility type of work. And this one is with McCausland Excavation. I will also say we've used McCausland previously a few times on this type of work, and they've done really good work. And they are on the bidders list, even though they were a negotiated contract or a negotiated proposal. Again, it's well within the petition limits on all. This one has 3 petitions that goes with it because each one of these is handled a little differently, the water, the sewer, and stormwater, but all of them are well within the petition limits also. I would be happy to answer any questions if anyone has it.
Mr. Mayor, Greg moves to accept the plans and accept the proposal for McClellan Excavation, Inc. for the construction of water, sewer, and storm drainage within Prairie Point at Cornerstone Second with a not to exceed amount of $306,770 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement after the city attorney has reviewed required contract submittals.
Homer second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 12, fireworks sales and discharge inside the city limits 2020. Each year, the city council sets the dates for the sale and discharge of fireworks in the boundaries of the city of Andover. Chief Russell has reviewed the resolution before us tonight. Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just maybe a little background information for those of us who aren't aware. Typically what I do when I'm looking at this is just look at what we did last year, try to move it forward to this year in a way that makes sense. Weeknights, we typically keep the last discharge to 10 p.m. and then weekend nights, or if the next morning most people don't have to go to work, we typically extend that out to 11 p.m. These dates, the 27th through the 5th, are set by the state. We can be more restrictive than that, but not less restrictive. What questions do you have?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to adopt a resolution setting the dates and times for the sales and discharge of fireworks inside the city limits of Andover, June 27th through July 5th, 2020.
Homer, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. All right, resolution 13, certifying authority authorizing to apply for CDBG-CV form, Kansas Department of Commerce. And this is Jenny's favorite topic, so I will let her chat away.
All right. Yes, this has been a long day. So yesterday afternoon, there was an announcement from the governor's office that $9 million was available to local businesses. And that got a lot of people really excited. Unfortunately, the avenue in which that money will be distributed is through the Community Development Block Grant process, which is tedious. And so I intend to still apply and go through that process. I want you to know it's going to be an uphill struggle. In order for a business to be eligible, the 51% of the employees for that employer must be low to moderate income. And there's a grid. It depends on their family income, and it depends on all sources of income. First of all, some people are pretty private about sharing that with their boss. So sometimes you don't have people willing to certify their incomes. So that hurts you on getting to 51%. And then sometimes it can be hard thresholds to hit for some of the various employers that we have. Many of you, I believe, if not all of you, received an email in the 5 o'clock hour this morning with someone a local business who had heard about this and was excited and was trying to apply. He and I have corresponded throughout the day. And once he saw the salary income amounts, he said he's still going to try, but he's doubtful that he's going to be eligible for that. We've had someone else apply, or not apply. We're not taking applications quite yet because we don't have the money yet. But another business has contacted the chamber today, and I've already sent that income information over to them so they can start talking to their employees. Just because if they're not eligible, that's not anything we can change. I mean, they either meet the income threshold or they don't. The very first step, which I tried to blow by, man, I was trying to get us in there for that $300,000. But the very first step is you need to accept a resolution that certifies that we are a local unit of government, that the mayor has the authority to sign off on applications. The resolution they have includes that we dedicate a certain amount of matching funds. The Q&A, they've been very clear. The CDBG-CV program does not require match funds. This is 100% pass through from the CDBG program, which is really the CARES Act, but it is a pass through 100%. We don't have to put any money towards this. As I understand it, it's first in, gets the money, and then we have to go find the businesses that actually meet the qualifications. And so I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts in this process once the first group of cities receive and counties receive their funding. If they're not able to award that full amount, I would presume at some point that money will go back to the state, maybe be reawarded. The guidelines are somewhat being written as we're going, so I don't know entirely how that's going to finish out. But first step is this resolution, and if you all approve this tonight, I will get our names in the running and do my very best to try to get us some money for our local businesses. Happy to take any questions.
Hey, Jenny, is this the item they were speaking of on one of the Friday calls? I think the last Friday call regarding there's a new appointment of a chairperson, and is that what this is?
This was a little bit of a surprise. So I don't know exactly. I know it's CARES money. So I believe it might be a portion of the CARES money that the state of Kansas got that did not go to Johnson and Sedgwick County because they got their own allotment based on their size.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure. It was literally announced by the governor yesterday at, I believe, the KDHE press conference. It was news to all of us. And then the application portal was supposed to open at 1 o'clock. Much like the unemployment software system, apparently this website also needs some upgrading. It was not able to take on any users until around 3 or 3:30 this afternoon. So everybody's kind of scrambling across the state to try to figure out how we get eligible. Because essentially, I mean, what they're doing is they're taking a funding source and they're using an avenue that's established, but they're like stripping away some of the requirements, adding on some new ones. Typically CDBG includes loans, which would then have promissory notes, but none of that applies here because it's actual grant money, not loan money. So it's just trying to figure out how to basically put that round peg through that square hole. And I think they'll get there, but it's going to maybe be a week or two before we have some of those questions ironed out.
So are we supposed to, as a city, confirm everything that is correct on these application grants, or?
It will be a huge process. So, or let's just walk through, if we get a business that comes in and asks for a certain amount of money, which I believe the gentleman that emailed you all this morning, I think he asked for a very small amount of money.
5,000.
And we'll come up with a lot more money that he should apply for if we get to this position, because it's going to include a public hearing at one of your city council meetings that must be published 2 weeks in advance. There's going to be quite a bit of paperwork and certification that will go through this process, both on our end and each business that applies and has received fundings end. So, we'll want to make sure they've really thought through how much money do you need to keep your business, thriving right now. And maybe you feel like a small amount, a couple $1,000s might help you today, but let's really think about what you're going to need to keep paying rent and utilities in the coming months. Did I answer your question?
In short, it's no small thing for them to do, but it's a good thing for us to do, in my opinion, for what that's worth.
One other thing I did learn, and this might be interesting to businesses who may be listening tonight, if they apply for SBA or PPP money, they cannot apply for money for that same purpose again. So they're going to have to itemize what they used the other government funding for. And if they used it for payroll in March, then payroll in March can't be one of the things they'd utilize this money for. So it's the goal of this program is to provide funding where the other funding wasn't available.
So one would need to make a motion to approve the
resolution. I'll say it for you and you can say so moved. Okay. The resolution certifying legal authority and authorization to apply for the CDBG-CV from the Kansas Department of Commerce.
Homer so moves.
Do I have a second?
Second by Troy.
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no.
Hey, Jenny. The money Sedgwick County and Johnson County got, do they have to do the same process as what we're doing for this?
Not at all. So the big difference, I'm really glad you asked that, Tim. The money that Johnson and Sedgwick County got are for their government, and if they so choose, any local governments in their counties. So that CARES money was for the government. So the restriction on that is that it only can go for COVID response. So if they have overtime related to COVID measures, if they had to buy I think we've come up with around $15,000 to $20,000 we've spent on hand sanitizer, masks, electrostatic sprayer. Is that right, Chief Russell? Items of that nature, and you can use it for those. The money we're talking about, government can't use it all. We are just the pass-through mechanism to get it into a business's hands.
So since we don't have 500,000 people, we don't get any of that.
Right. And there's a lot of movement at the national level. And in fact, if any of you want to reach out to your U.S. senators or congressmen, there's been some feelings that state and local governments just need to figure out budgeting better in these hard times. Which is ironic because our budgets have to balance every year. And in fact, there was a statement that states should just go bankrupt, which is not legal in the state of Kansas. So if you would be so inclined, it might be a good outreach to suggest that local government's loss of revenue is really where our financial problems are going to come from the COVID crisis. Yes, we are paying for some PPE, and yes, those costs will continue to climb, but where we're really going to get hurt is in every revenue stream we have, which will be impacted by the incredible recession we're about to experience. That's my soapbox. I'll step off.
All right.
Thank you.
Members items. We've come to the time for members items. As we've done all night, let's start with Homer. Do you have any items, Homer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I don't have anything, per se. I just want to make sure that we're all in this together. And like you've said before, Mr. Mayor, we'll be better on the other side of this. But it is going to be a journey. It's not, a foot race. And there are a lot of people involved. And it's just, you got to take a deep breath and really think about the next person, too.
Thank you. Mr. Warren.
I have nothing tonight.
I have one member item that I think is pretty relevant just based on our workshop last night. We did have a CVB meeting this afternoon, and we actually heard back from our August artist for our concert at the amphitheater, and they would prefer to move their date to 2021. So that concert will be moving to 2021, and we'll continue on with our October concert. Hopefully that one will go off without a hitch. And that's all I had.
Good news.
That's awesome.
Words of wisdom for us?
Couple of quick things. One is in the WAMPO meeting today, we talked about a lot of things. One of the items was the build grant, which I think I brought up before. Which is for large transportation projects or just different projects. And the expiration date to apply for the build grant is May the 18th. So if it's something that we want to look at as a city, then we have to hurry up and get our application in. And the second thing, as we were going through things, was in the state of Kansas, the fatality rate of driving versus just the serious injury rate. Serious injury rate, every rolling average of 5 years for the last 4 years has went down significantly from 200 a year down to about 130, 140 a year, which is good. It's still bad, but it's better that it's going in that direction. But the fatality rate has had the inverse effect and has went up each year since basically 2011. So just something to think about. Be a little safe when you're on the roads. Some of the things they attribute that to would be more people driving. Cost of gas has went down, so a lot more people are driving. But also the speed limits had went up at some point around there, and so people are driving faster on the highways. So anyway, just be safe when you're out driving, and I thought I would share those stats.
So you felt the need to share that, knowing that your mayor is suffering from automobile injuries as least last Saturday. So was there any message there for me, Mr. Tabor?
There wasn't, but there is, and it's not a message for you. It's just a message for the general public that obviously it happens to everyone, or it can. So just be careful when you're out there, especially around motorcycles.
Yes. Yeah, watch out for motorcycles, please. Greg, you have anything for us?
No, I have no items.
Tim, before you speak, I want to show you something. No more shine, baby. You have anything for us, Tim?
I did, but I can't remember what I said after that. No, I am good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Dollar Taco Night or Dollar Tacos on Tuesdays at Spalding's. Delicious. Come join me.
Staff, do y'all have anything you'd like to share with us? So today, a handful of us, or a couple of us, were on a Zoom with Kansas League of Municipalities, and there were some numbers on there that were quite disturbing as far as going forward. And like Homer said, this is going to be tough times, and it's further out than what we think. And so as a city, we have to really start looking further than next week and next month and even next year, possibly on dollars that we spend or don't spend. I was shocked at some of the numbers they were talking about, especially in hospitality, as in restaurants, hotels. The federal government's saying that they think it might be a 3 to 5 year turnaround for them, and many other numbers that I'll share with y'all later. But it's just something I want us to think about going forward. This is no small thing that's happened to our world and our country and our state and our town. It's a big deal, and it's not just one industry. It's not just, I was always focused on the aircraft industry and its decline, but it's much deeper than that on so many levels, as far as ag, hospitality. What else was there? I can't remember off the top of my head. Gas and oil, you name it. Just about everything that Kansas does is going to be affected adversely from this for a while. So we need to, while I look forward and I always keep my head up and I always think positive and I think of opportunities, but we also need to think a little further than we normally have to as a council and as a city, because the road's going to be rough, but we will get through it. That's what we'll do, and we'll do it together. And it's important that we all think together, think about it together, and work together as a team. And man, I can't think of a group of people that I'd rather go through these times with than y'all, for what that's worth. I mean that sincerely. We're an eclectic group. Most of you are very, outside of your mayor, are very articulate and very smart, and we will get through this together. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Troy?
Homer, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. God bless y'all, and hang in there, okay?
Thank you, you too.
Good night.
Bye.